Good afternoon, family. Excuse my hair. I'm in the process of combing out my locks, so I got a little conditioner in my hair, okay? But God sent me to Joshua 2, right? And when I was reading Joshua 2, God showed me that when you in a transition, right? When you're going from being a slave to ownership, right? When you're making that transition, it's going to cause some feedback, right? People are going to want to come after you, right? And so as God has taken Israel from being slaves to ownership, what God promised them, right, requires them to go and take from people that's been staying there already, right? So he promised them land, okay? And so there's people occupying that land, so which means they're going to have to take that land from people, which means they're going to have some feedback, because nobody is going to just allow you to just take their stuff without, having some kind of fight for it, right? So God showed me in this chapter, when God has your back, people will hear about you. Okay? So because God has Israel back, people in countries, before cities, towns, are hearing about them before they even get there. Okay? So in Joshua chapter 2, Joshua has sent some spies to a town, right? So they can seek out the land to see if they can take over the land, right? Sometimes on this journey, it can get hard when you're in a transition, when God got you going from, being in a position where you're not used to having, where you're not used to being in a leadership position, right? You can start to feel insecure. You can start feeling like you're not qualified. Okay? So even though God has already given them the land, they still feel insecure and unqualified of being able to go into this land. So they are going to seek out the land to see if they can even do it, even though God already gave it to them. And so when God give it to you, you don't have to worry about if you can do it or not, because he's going to make way, he's going to make it possible for you to get it, because that's what he promised you. So if they would have had that confidence that because God said this land is yours, they wouldn't even had to send spies in there. They would have had full trust in God that he would have had their back, and they just would have went and took the land. Okay, but because they wasn't as confident, they sent spies to seek it out to see if they are capable of even taking over this land, right? But while the spies was in this land, they ran into Rahab, right? And Rahab lets them know that y'all are scared. Y'all are scared, but we been heard about you. And the people here is afraid. So while you all over here insecure in your head, thinking about things that might not even happen, there are people out there afraid of your transition, afraid of, God helping you to get stronger, God helping you to get better. Because they heard about how God has been doing works in your life, how God has been protecting you, right? So if you go to Joshua 2, 9 through 11, it says, I know that the Lord has given you this land, and that a great fear of you has fallen on us, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you. We have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did in Sihon and Og, the two kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, who you completely destroyed. When we heard of it, our hearts melted in fear, and everyone's courage failed because of you. For the Lord your God is God in heaven above and on the earth below. So, as you see, God has already helped them completely destroy two other kings in order to take that land that he promised them. But yet they still have some fear. God has already destroyed the Egyptian king in order to set them free. Yet they still scared. But people hearing about it. God was showing me that when he has your back, one, you don't have to be fearful of anything. He's going to protect you. And two, people are going to start talking about you. People are going to start hearing about you. Because they go want to know, who is this person that God keep blessing? Who is this person that God keep protecting? Every time I set a trap for them, somehow God helps them to, maneuver around this trap, to escape the trap. So they're going to start talking about you. And people in lands that you haven't even been in is going to start hearing about you. This is what God is telling us in Joshua chapter 2. When you walk with God, there is no need to have any fear. Right? Because while you're having all this fear and insecurity in your head, those people are terrified of you coming. They're going to try to destroy you before you get there because they're terrified of what God is going to help you do. They're terrified of what God is going to do through you. Okay? Because when they got to this land, the king had heard the spies was in the town and was looking for them to kill them. But Rahab hid them because she knew, she heard about God's power. And she didn't want to be she didn't want to be on the wrong side of God. So she decided to help God because she didn't want to be on the wrong side. And she's like saying to them, if I help you, will you protect me? That is what God want to do through you. Right? He want to use you to show people what a real relationship with God will do for you, will do for others, and how it would change people's lives. So if you listening, don't be afraid. Because as you can see in this chapter, they are more afraid of you and what you're becoming than what you have any fear of, of this transition, of doing things you're not used to, right? They are more afraid of you. So be of courage and keep going. I love you. Have